Hello, second grade friends. Today in reading, we are going to complete workbook page 32, so go ahead and grab that. And then this is also your review because tomorrow you have a little quiz, a little story quiz about the crow and the pitcher, so we're going to review. So this lesson's a little bit longer, so bear with Mrs. Connor. Okay, so in your workbook, page 32, this is a phonics review, and we usually do these pages together, at least a couple, and then I like you to do a couple on your own. Okay, so I just want to review with you at the top here. We have our little wisdom boxes, I like to call them, our little hint boxes. So we have a consonant blend, and that's when 2 or 3 consonant sounds are said together quickly. Here we have them over here in blue. We have blast, blast, string, bank, belt. Your words in blue, your letters in blue are the consonants, okay? And then a digraph is when 2 consonants together make one new sound. So these sounds over here you can break apart. Ast, string, bank, bank. Whereas over here, they're kind of said together. It creates a whole new sound. So for example, three, white. You don't hear that H. Brush is kind of, these are together. It makes a whole new sound. That's a digraph. So in section A, you have to circle the correct word. So what is this a picture of? You're right, a scarf. And it's, I know you can see my answers kind of, but be honest. Sled. Very good. Skunk. Skunk. You try the next 3 on your own. And then we're going to sneak down to this part. You can pause me if you need to finish. Section B, write the letters to complete each word. So here they have the letters. You have to figure out which one works. So let's do this whole first section together. And then I want you to complete these 2 on your own. Okay? So we have the CH, SH, and WH. So if we say cheel, that sounds silly. Shield or wheel. Which one do you think? Very good. Wheel. And some of you may know these first time, and that's great. Some of you may need to do what Mrs. Connor just did and try every sound with the ending here, and that's okay too. Okay? All right, so the next one, we have shade, shade, or wade. I think shade's our best answer, right? SH. Okay, then we have ched, shed, or wed. Shed. And then we have chick, shick, wick. Chick. Okay. All right, over here, you're going to do these on your own. You have the letters BL and SP, LT, and NK. Okay? All right, I'll let you go ahead and pause me and finish that. Or finish it later, whatever. We're going to jump over to this screen. I just want to review our vocab words. So we have the word fluttered, perched, blazed, feathers, scorching, and headed. Okay? Now we're going to review a little bit about our story. So I have a list here of stuff we're going to talk about and review. Does anyone remember what the moral of a story means? The moral of a story. And I'm going to switch colors when I write so you can see the difference here. So a moral is a lesson. So we're going to write this. You guys can write this too if you want. If not, just follow along. Mrs. Connor always remembers better if I write it down. A lesson learned from a story. Learned from a story. And that's what we just read, correct? Okay. Now, what type of story did we read? This was called it starts with an F. Who remembers? I hear you at home saying fable. I'm just pretending. Okay, very good. So we read a fable, which means it wasn't true, right? Because the animals were talking to each other, and we talked about that isn't real, okay? So what kind of day, you know what, and I kind of reversed these. Let's jump down to characters. What were the characters in our story? We had birds. Here, let me erase that. And then we're going to write birds. And then what kind of birds did we have? We had a wren and a crow. Very good. Now, what kind of day were the birds having? Remember, what kind of day was it there? Was it cold? Was it warm? Was it rainy? Right, it was very hot. Scorching is what they used. Remember that word, scorching? The hot sun blazed down on them. And if you remember, clear back to the first page, Crow even said his black feathers soaked in the heat, so he felt as if he were on fire. And then he hopped into the shade of the tree. So he tells us, I'm hot, so I'm going to go in the shade. Okay, so that's the kind of day they're having, hot, and I'm going to put sunny too. Okay, now we were reading about Crow and Wren. They were kind of discussing Wren had asked if Crow was new to these parts because he never saw them. And then Crow was like, I am new to these parts. I'm headed to Rainbow Bluff. Okay, remember? And then he goes, is it always hot here? I'm very thirsty. Where can I get a drink of water? So Wren's like, well, come, I can tell you where there's water, but there was a problem, correct? What was the problem, my friends? Right, so the problem was the water was too far down in the pitcher. So I'm going to just write what I said. Water too far down in pitcher. Okay. So they went into the pitcher and they looked around and was like, well, what can we do? And Crow was looking around to see what they could find. What was the solution then to their problem? Pebbles. Very good. They put pebbles down in the pitcher, and that raised the water level so they could drink. I'll just say raise the water. Excuse me. So their lesson was, or the moral of the story was what? Right. Working little by little gets the job done. Working little by little gets the job done. You guys are so smart. Okay, so real quick, let's review that one more time. So the moral of a story is a lesson we can learn from the story. And we also talked that there was, who in the Bible talks about moral and fables all the time? Parables. Jesus, right? He always used parables so that he would tell us parables so that we kind of understood a little bit better. All right, and the type of story we read was a fable. The kind of day that they were having, it was hot and a sunny day. The characters we met were birds named Wren and Crow. They're just different types of birds. The problem was they were thirsty and the water was too far down in the pitcher. So we should have wrote thirsty too. Shame on you, Mrs. Connor. It's okay. All right, then the solution is Crow decided, he looked around and found pebbles and put them down in the pitcher, and that helped to raise the water so that they could drink. And then the lesson learned was working little by little gets the job done. And I forgot to write job in there. My friends, you didn't tell me. Okay, let's fix that. Get the job done. There's my proofreaders. Very good. All right, next slide. Then we talked about a Venn diagram yesterday. So the Venn diagram is when we want to compare, right? Compare two things. Two things. Or in this case, we compared what? The two birds. Well, we did compare the two birds on your workbook page, but we also compared the stories. Remember Mrs. Connor read you the Aesop fable, and it was only the crow. It didn't even mention the wren. So your Venn diagram is two circles, and they compare. So one, you'd have wren over here, and you'd have the crow over here, and this is what wren did or looks like, what crow looks like, and what he did. And then in this middle part is what they both did, or both had similar things. So for example, in your workbook page, we had said that crow was black, wren was brown. Crow was a bigger bird, and they gave the dimensions of how big he was, whereas wren was smaller. They both, in the middle, both had feathers. They both ate insects, and there was other examples in those as well. But that's just a review of the Venn diagram. Okay, that's it, my friends. I think you'll be good if you if I were you, if you feel comfortable with the story, you're good. If you're not, go back and reread. Remember back in first grade, I told you to go get an animal and you would read to your pets? You can still do that. Go read, set up your animals and read the book to them. And that helps you play the teacher, but then it also helps you review and remember the story. So whatever you choose, if you feel comfortable, that's great. If you don't, I would go back and reread the story again. Okay? All right, my friends, that's it. Tomorrow you will have a little story quiz, and then we are done with reading for this year, and I will see you back in school in January.